Hey everyone, Josh Neighbors here, Locked on Big 12 podcast, recording this at 5:01 Eastern Time, 4:01 Central Time on Saturday, January 28th, 2023, part one of our two-part recap of the SEC Big 12 Challenge, Big 12 SEC Challenge. A really good morning for the Big 12 in a variety of ways. Oklahoma shocks Alabama. Iowa State is the one team to fall. They lose to Missouri, so not a lot of harm there done. But also, Texas Tech got back in the win column against LSU. And then West Virginia, maybe the biggest win of them all. Well, the Alabama game is pretty big, but massive win for the Mountaineers. So we're going to break down those games first. We'll have part two coming up here tomorrow, but part one coming at you.
You are Locked on Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, Josh Neighbors here, Locked on Big 12 podcast. Did not want to do the entire thing in one sitting here, folks, in one section, because there's too many important things to get to from the Big 12 SEC Challenge. And so I decided to divide it up in two parts. We kind of had the early session with the noon game, and then the three games at 2. Now we kind of had that middle session with TCU, Mississippi State. Mike Miles goes down the injury in that game. They already didn't have Eddie Lampkin, so could be rough for the Frogs. Arkansas holds a 6-point lead over Baylor. We'll see what happens to that one. Then we have Tennessee against Texas, and then Kentucky against Kansas tonight. But we're going to focus on the early games here. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at LO Big 12. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well. Thumbs up for the videos. Leave comments too, please. That helps out the show. So massive morning in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. We knew there would be opportunities for teams in the Big 12 to make some hay, to improve their position when it comes to the NCAA tournament. West Virginia and Oklahoma were the two teams, I think, who had the best shot. Right now, West Virginia is in the last 4 in for Joe Lunardi. Oklahoma State is in the first 4 out. The problem is for them, they play Ole Miss tonight, so not really a chance to improve their standing unless it's a situation where teams ahead of them lose. But what if a team like Oklahoma, who is in Joe Lunardi's next 4 out, gets a big win? They jump them, and, well, that's what happened, folks. So Oklahoma gets a not just resounding win, in terms of the score line, but also for their season. Oklahoma had lost 3 straight games, right? They were coming into this one, a battered group with 2 wins in conference. They still only have 2 wins in conference. They're, the next to last place team right now. They're tied for that 9 spot, 8 spot, whatever you want to say, with West Virginia. They have beaten once. But they are coming off a 27-point loss against TCU. They get the number 2 team in the country, the Alabama Crimson Tide, who are undefeated in SEC play. They beat Alabama like a drum. Final score, 93-69. That is a 24-point margin. To be honest, people, it was not that close. It was over 30 at certain points. I mean, the court rushing was an inevitability at some point. They had a 17-point lead at halftime, and Alabama struggled to even cut in to that. Amazing performance today. Probably Jalen Hill's best game of his career. 26 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. 30 from Grant Sherfield, who had 30 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds. They were fantastic shooting the ball. They were 57 or 58% from the floor, 9 for 13 from 3. So really efficient, crazy efficient, 69%, 16 for 19 from the line. Simply put, they could not miss. But their offense was awesome today at generating quality looks, I thought. I thought that was the number one part of their game. I mean, 93 points in a game against a team like Alabama is very, very impressive. That's what stands out to me, number one. And it's surprising because, they had some tough shots today too, but it's surprising because the number one problem with this team has been creating quality looks. This group struggles with that. They've got an alpha, sure, in Grant Sherfield, but it doesn't feel like they've got guys that are these unbelievable shot creators, i.e. Mike Miles. Jalen Wilson can obviously create his own shot. Think about Marquise Noel as a shot creator just from a guard standpoint. They don't have that. But I thought with their ball movement today, they did a very good job of generating those looks, of creating situations where they could get good shots. And they hit a ton of shots today. A lot of the simplicity sometimes is like, are you hitting shots? For OU, it's not that simple. For them, it's not just are you hitting the shots. For them, it is about generating the good looks. And so while the shot making was there today, it's great. It's off and on. It's more for them, once again, about how the kinds of shot that they can generate, the kinds of shots, I should say, that they can generate. They generated a lot of them today. And this Alabama team was stifled. I mean, Noah Clowney has been fantastic, 3 for 10 today, 0 for 4 from deep. Brandon Miller, 11.7 rebounds, 3 assists, sure, but he was 4 for 14 from the floor. And Mark Sears, who's been fantastic this year, was 4 for 10. So not a horrible day, but 1 for 4 from deep. They were 6 for 22 from the outside. They were under 40% shooting from the floor. And, the only other guy off the bench, Javon Quinterly had 12 points, 5 of 12 shooting, 0 for 3 from deep, and 5 fouls, right? He fouls out in 20 minutes. So they did a great job today, I thought, just overall of, pouring it on and generating those good looks and frustrating Alabama. And Alabama had 13 turnovers, which is not like a massive amount. So did Oklahoma. So I thought that, it wasn't like this was a horrible performance from Alabama. Their shooting was bad. That's to be quite honest. But I thought Oklahoma went out there and earned this victory today and earned it in impressive fashion. The thing is that performance today, shooting wise, is not necessarily recreatable. The effort, though, that got them that quality performance is. And if you give that kind of effort, not saying this team is not had the effort, but I think that it's easy for teams to get down on themselves. And I think at times in games, maybe OU has gotten down on themselves. They've not quit, I'm saying, on a game-to-game basis. Also, it's a good reminder they have good of a coach that Porter Moser is, right? This was a fantastic coaching performance. I thought they were good after stoppages. I thought they were good creating runs and the next run and the next run. Just a well-coached team today. Reminded me very much of that 2021 Illinois Loyola Chicago game where we saw Loyola Chicago really pick Illinois apart with a lot of their playmaking. And look, is Tanner Groves a kind of creator from that high post position? I forget the guy's name. Cameron Krutwig. He's not the kind of creator that Cameron Krutwig is. The creator that Cameron Krutwig. There we go. Mouthful right there. He's not that kind of creator. But he can still do a lot of really good things for you. And I thought he played an awesome game today. 14 and 12, 4 offensive rebounds. He had 3 blocked shots in the first 8 minutes of the game, of the game, guys. So that is a massive performance from Oklahoma. And then you think about the schedule. They're now 12 and 9 overall. This will push them towards the bubble. And coming up here, they've got Oklahoma State, at West Virginia, at Baylor, KU, and K-State. What they have to do is they need to beat Oklahoma State at home. They need to split West Virginia and Baylor because those are both quadrant 1 opportunities. So you need to go grab one of those on the road. And then also you need to beat a Kansas or a Kansas State at home. So 3 and 2 in that stretch, that puts you at 15 wins and 11 losses. It'll put you at in the Big 12, you'd be 4 and 8 at that point. And then you can start thinking about, getting yourself in the tournament. The end run for them is tough. It's at Texas Tech at home, at Kansas State, or at Iowa State, at Kansas State, TCU. So it's a difficult run, but to keep getting themselves in the conversation, they need a win against Oklahoma State. They need that road split against Baylor and West Virginia, and they need to split at KU and then Kansas State. At some point, though, because of their performance, they're going to need to flip one of these games on the road. They beat Texas Tech on the road. That's not really a great win. It's not a good enough win. They're going to need some kind of significant road victory, I think, to solidify a tournament resume. Because right now they've got at Tech, they've got West Virginia by 1 at home as a win. They've got Alabama in there. They've got Florida, who's a bubble team. They've got, Seton's not very good. It's an okay team. Nebraska's pretty average, right? So you're seeing that they need to start piling up more of these wins. And they're going to need at one point to flip. Like, it can't be a stretch where it's like, all right, 3 and 3 is what we have to do here. They're going to need to flip one more. But as for right now, guys, I think Wisconsin lost to Illinois. They're Joe Lunardi's last team. And once again, it's not gospel. I think Jerry Palm does a great job too. But Oklahoma you got to think they're edging themselves closer. And I'm not sure A&M gets today. I think Vanderbilt playing maybe because they're both off, but that's teaming in the bubble. Pitt's playing today, obviously. West Virginia gets a big win, so it kind of clears them a little bit further away. So Oklahoma, a good chance to kind of move up here when it comes to their counterparts in the same vicinity. But a win over the number 2 team in the country, looks like the best SEC team by far, is a significant step. What else caught my eye this morning? Well, you have to, I think in terms of like conference significance, let's go to West Virginia's win over Auburn. I ran the metrics yesterday. I believe it's a quadrant 1 win for them. That was a massive victory. It got up to a 16-point lead for West Virginia over Auburn, who right now, West Virginia, is on Joe Lunardi's last 4 in. And you get a win against a top 30 club, once again, quadrant 1 win. That's a huge victory for West Virginia because it now gets them to 13-8. They've won 3 of their last 4 games, and they won TCU at home, which is a huge win. They beat Texas Tech by 15 on the road. And they beat now number 15 Auburn at home. Eric Stevenson, absolute dog today. 31 points. Now, not sure if you all caught this, and I don't mean to ding Eric Stevenson because he was 38 minutes, 10 for 17, 7 of 10 from deep, 31, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Amazing performance. He had a free throw to make it a 4-point game in the end, because Auburn had a shot to tie it there. And I think he put it up, and I believe he yelled ball game. Either him or somebody else on the team, I think, yelled ball game. Maybe it was somebody in the crowd, but loudly and audibly, you heard somebody yell ball game, and it rimmed out. And I was like, oh my God, no, not ball game. They have a chance to tie. I thought it'd come, karma could come back and bite in the butt, but no, they did a great job. I thought today of, feeding a guy who was hot. Like, was this the best performance I've ever seen in the world? No, but they made a lot of their shots that they needed to. They kept the turnovers low to 12, 46 from the floor, 45 from 3, 7 of those obviously belonging to Eric Stevenson. The rest of the team was like 2 for 10 from 3. And 21 of 25 from the free throw line. I know I just mentioned a missed free throw, but Stevenson, goes 4 for 5. Bell goes 5 for 5. And your big guy can do that. Okonkwo goes 4 for 5. Toussaint goes 4 for 4. Like, their depth is starting to add more. Toussaint was a guy that thought had some nice shots today and contributes 9 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 boards. You love that kind of performance, right? You win the turnover battle in this game. While Auburn shot 50% from the floor, they were sub 32% from 3. And that was huge for them on defense. So Auburn did a great job of clawing back into this game. But West Virginia, whenever they needed the bucket, they got one, a big 3 from Stevenson that pushed the lead to 4 late on in the game. And Bob Huggins' group now has some momentum. And that's the thing about playing in this Big 12, guys, is that when you add the fact the Big 12 schedule is ridiculously hard, and you pair that with the idea that your one break from that is going to be an SEC team, and a lot of opportunities like this, you get a team like an Auburn coming to your building. Well, while it's difficult, plenty of chances to change your fortunes, to change your momentum. And West Virginia and Oklahoma took advantage of that today. I think West Virginia with that win, I know a lot of those schools are kind of in the bubble area having nice weekends. USC, Kentucky's got a good chance to have a good weekend. West Virginia, though, a good opportunity here to solidify their spot. And that's very important that they do, because they've had a lot of good teams come into their building this year. They've not always capitalized. I mean, think about the teams that they've had at their place. They've had Kansas already come to play them. They've had Baylor already come to play them. Both of those were losses. TCU came to play them. Texas came to play them. They lost KU. They lost Baylor. They lost Texas. All of those were at home. So the fact that they finally hit on TCU, they hit on Auburn, they got the road win, and they might have another chance to, guys. We'll check what the deal is with Eddie Lampkin and also Mike Miles. We just saw a word here from Jeff Goodman, hyperextended knee. Mike Miles not coming back. And well, once again, when you all are seeing this, the game's probably over, but you have to understand, like, that could be an opportunity and a chance to rack up a road, huge victory. It's going to be a hard fought game. I'm sure TCU, will take that time quickly to try and prepare without Mike Miles, but it's going to be difficult for the Horned Frogs to do, depending on his injury. Once again, we'll see what the situation is with that. But miss some of their road opportunities. They're still going to get, home opportunities rather. They're going to need to nail some of these road ones now at TCU. Then they have OU and Iowa State, both at home. Then it's at Texas, at Baylor, things like that. So they're going to have a good chance to maybe rack one or two up here down the stretch. But right now, like, they're kind of, when I talked about Oklahoma having to flip one of those games from the past, sure, like, they're going to have to do that. West Virginia, they love to. They don't have to, though, now, because I think they're on the right side of the bubble, and they can now start doing that, trade wins and losses. Look, I know their record in the league is not great, 2-6. But with the way they've been playing, what's coming up, like, if they can start holding serve better at home, steal a road game, they're in a great spot, right? So they're kind of in a spot where, like, if you trade, if you go at TCU win, OU win, then lost to Iowa State at home, and you grab one of those on the road, it's gonna be tough to do. But like, you're just, if you play 500 ball, you're kind of in the right spot, I think, if you're West Virginia now, which is a departure from the past. All right, next one. Missouri absolutely pummels Iowa State. The big key in this game, guys, was that Iowa State could not stop turning the ball over. They did not take care of the basketball well at all. Missouri wins 78-61. This is a game Iowa State did not need. I know that they are a good team. They're not a great road team. I know they're a good team, though, and they're excellent at home. They beat Kansas State earlier this week. Missouri at 16, and they were 15-5 before the game. But Missouri at 15-5, guys, needed this one more. They're kind of anywhere from a 9 to an 11 seed right now. And yes, as a Missouri graduate, I was glad to see it. Iowa State, nothing hurt there. But Missouri needed this one a bit more just to kind of solidify some more tournament positioning for themselves. So I think that's why they were really motivated to beat Iowa State. What was interesting, though, was there is now a formula to beat Iowa State because they didn't shoot the ball poorly today. The big problem they had is, as good as they were at cleaning the offensive glass, 16 chances, they ruined a lot of first opportunity chances with 19 turnovers. I always look at the number of shots that a team takes compared to another. And let's see. So they shot 45% today, right? If from the floor, 40 from 3, and they were 3 of 8 from the line, they did not get to the line enough. I actually thought they had fouled a couple times. It wasn't called, but it really wouldn't have mattered. If you take that 19 turnovers, and let's just say you make it 10, right? Or you make it 11 or 12, whatever. I give you 8 extra possessions, that, and you make at least 3, 4 of those baskets. One of the ones with 3, maybe you score 8 more points. Like, this is a different basketball game. That thing tightens up a little bit later on. And so I think now the 19, and some of them guys were like, they're near the basket. Nobody's around them, just kicking the ball out of bounds. There were drops in this game too. I was not impressed with the way Iowa State was playing. Once they shot the ball okay, especially that first half, they were really going toe-to-toe with Mizzou. But then Missouri just started putting the burners on, and not as many offensive ideas for Iowa State later on in this game. They just did not have as many offensive ideas, and that can happen to them sometimes. And so that was a concern to me. Does everybody have the ability to speed up Iowa State the way Missouri did? No, they did not. And also Iowa State's home court advantage is ridiculous. Iowa State also played a team that likes to run in Kansas, but they were able to force them to play their style. It's just difficult to do that, though. And every single time you go to a road environment, it is very difficult to do. And Missouri's got older guys who can push that on you, really push it on you. I mean, Nick Honor pushes it. Sean East will push it on you. Demoy Hodge was fantastic today. So while this was the lone loss in the early slate, I think Iowa State's got they're fine. They're okay. The 16 offensive rebounds, they crushed Missouri in the glass. They have that advantage inside. They have to take it. They have to take better care of the ball. Because you're ruining opportunities, and on the road, you need to do a better job of that. And this team also offensively is just not good enough to be throwing possessions away. They are not good enough at creating awesome offense to be throwing possessions away like that. So once again, still tops the league, right? First place team technically, because they have the win over, the other direction over, who am I thinking of? Kansas State, right? So in that spot right now, at least, still good to go. Home court is a fortress for the Cyclones. Obviously a big win for Missouri. One more game to get to, and we'll get to it right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at FanDuel. Make sure you guys Sign up today, FanDuel.com/lockedon. You guys will get $150 of free bets with your first bet of $5+ $5 or more. So once again, FanDuel.com/lockedon. If you guys follow me on Twitter at LOBig12, you guys saw my picks today. 3-1 to start the day, guys. I put the spreads out there courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook. The only miss, West Virginia -3.5 was a miss because of that final Eric Stevenson miss that we had there. So you guys, and that's the exciting part when you guys make every game mean more at FanDuel. You guys could have lived and died with me there. Also, though, if you're following my other stuff, Texas Tech covers on the road. West Virginia, obviously the one that did not cover, but Missouri is the one I had them +1.5. And then also I did not pick the OU game. So guess what? Actually, 2-1 start thing. It was 2-1 start thing. Don't give myself too much credit yet. Have TCU -2.5, K-State -4.5, and Kansas +1.5 the rest of the way. So check it out, FanDuel Sportsbook. Let's get to those Texas Tech Red Raiders who got that win today, guys. Massive victory for Texas Tech, just to get off the schneid. LSU's bad. Like, that was a really bad situation that McMahon had to take over, in the wake of the Will Wade situation. Texas Tech without Pop Isaacs goes on the road. I didn't catch all of this game because there's other games obviously happening. OU game was kind of more pressing, but 76-68 win, a road victory. They're still 0-8 in the league, but I'll tell you what, Kevin O'Banner, veteran, stepped up. Davion Harmon, 14 points, 5 of 10 from the floor, 8 assists as well, stepped up. Finally we got Kerwin Walton stepping up. Kerwin Walton, what am I saying? Kerwin Walton, yeah. Stepping up, a guy who averages 3 whatever points per game, scores 17 on 6-7 shooting. Like, you need the other guys on the team to step up. They only had 11 points at the bench. Totally fine though, because their starters were kick ass. But on a day where there was no Pop Isaacs, Harmon was the guy I thought who made the thing go. Walton was hitting great shots, and Kevin O'Banner was 8 for 15. He hit 20. He had 22 points, 4 rebounds. Obviously, there's a whole lot for them to work on, right? But their defense, I thought, was excellent today. While they weren't forcing a ton of turnovers, they won the rebounding battle, which is always important. And they managed the runs when we know back and forth action that we had. LSU made it the game there in the second half, but Texas Tech ends up pulling away. It's tough to do on the road, even though LSU's not playing well, it's tough to do on the road when you've been playing that way. So this is part 1, guys. Let's see if Texas Tech can keep things rolling. Maybe this was step 1 for them, potentially trying to get their way back in the season. They've had a whole lot more work to do. They want to think anything about an NCAA tournament appearance. There's a lot more to be done. I'm not sure if they have the horses to do it. So we'll see there. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at LOBig12. You guys can find me at JoshNeighbors_. You guys can find the podcast on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. If you're on YouTube, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. And please leave comments as well. Part 2 will come out tomorrow after tonight's action is over. So we talked about Oklahoma here. We talked about Iowa State here. We talked about West Virginia here. We talked about Texas Tech here. So the other 6 games, that'll be coming up on tomorrow's show. All right, my friends. So next time, as always, stay safe.